All right.
Okay, everybody. I hope everyone's having a great afternoon. Thank you for attending the West Virginia Association of Museums third session of their virtual conference entitled Engaging the Younger Generation of West Virginians. Those who do not know who I am Crystal Weimer, and I am the president of the West Virginia Association of Museums. And I'm so happy that you all are joining us this afternoon to learn how to engage the folks of the millennial set, and possibly maybe Casey will talk a little bit about maybe Gen Z today. Those are the next up and coming generation that are they're getting into the college age, and she will hopefully give us some insight to that. But for no further ado, Casey Gilbert is our presenter today, and I am familiar with Casey because she is in charge of Generation Harrison, which is a division of Generation West Virginia. And she has a great roster of experience with, business management, and I believe you also have a nonprofit management MBA. So she knows what she's talking about. She's a great person. She's lovely and nice, and she knows what she's talking about. So as we go, she's going to give a presentation, but as she talks about things and you have questions, feel free to, again, go in that chat box and type those in there and we will get to them. And I have some insights. So folks are here for the session today, Casey. They're wanting to know how to get younger people involved with their organization. And we see what else. We have another question again, how to attract those younger volunteers to your organization. And we have one here, comment here. They're looking forward to hear great ideas about how to engage and reach the millennials and the young professionals and possibly Gen Z. That's again another buzzword that we hear today. So without further ado, welcome Casey, and I will turn it over to her.
All right. Let me see if I can get my screen popped up correctly. Can you see this?
I can, yeah.
Okay. So let me put it on presenter view.
Casey, can you turn your mic up just a touch?
Maybe.
Okay.
If I can
You're coming in a little soft on the sound. Please. You can.
How do I do that?
You have your computer, hold on. Your sound on maybe your volume control on your computer. Maybe.
I mean, I have the audio, but.
Yeah, maybe. Hold on, let me see.
I can just scream if that would help.
Oh, I got it. Oh, it's me. I found it.
Okay.
Got it.
Right.
I learn new Zoom things every day, folks, when I'm on here. So.
Oh, I started at the end.
Okay. Hey, that's okay.
How do I get out of here? There we go. There we go. Okay, so like Crystal said, my name is Casey and I work for Generation West Virginia, and we are a statewide nonprofit, and our mission is to attract, retain, and advance young people in the Mountain State. And when we say young people, our target age is like 18 to 40-ish, but we really don't have like a cutoff. It's just that's the age group that's consistently, they come here for school and then they leave to get their first professional job, or they don't see West Virginia as a place where they can, settle down and start their careers. And so we're trying to combat that a few different ways. And so our biggest thing is we go by this motto, work, live, give. And so that kind of encompasses the three areas where people, need investment in order to stay in a place. So work, obviously, they need a good job, pay, benefits, good workplace environment. Live, housing is part of that, but also the recreation side, things to do, a great community. And then give is like the volunteerism service side of things, because if you're investing yourself in a community, you're more likely to stay there because, you've put in the time and the labor to make it what you want. And so this is kind of like our work, live, give icons. So I have those on the different slides that will show moving forward. I know a couple of you have said what you're hoping to get out of the presentation today. And so one of you said volunteers, which is kind of where my focus is. Because before I took on this job, I was actually coordinating a couple different volunteer centers in the area. So I got to learn a little bit more about that side of things. But if you have any specific questions, like Crystal said, just put them in the chat, or just, scream and say, hey, stop, I have a question. I really only have maybe like 45 minutes of structured content. Otherwise, I just hope it's a valuable conversation for you all. So go ahead and get started. There we go. Okay. So the 18 to 40 age range is the millennial age range. Different places have different stopping points. I consider myself a millennial. I was born in 1995, so I'm like right at the cutoff. But, I grew up as, technology and stuff was really starting to boom. And that's my childhood. Like I know what it was like to have dial-up internet, so I didn't always have, the latest and greatest. But one area of like millennials in their work life is that they really want to make an impact. And that's a common theme in this whole presentation for this age group, is that they don't want, just a 9-to-5 career where they can make their money, go home, and, not think about work for the rest of the day. They want a meaningful job. And so I'm sure you don't have people coming to the museum industry that are like, I just want a job, because it's a very specific place to work. So you're really probably only going to find the people that are truly invested in the industry. And so right now, millennials are the largest living generation, and we make up the biggest workforce segment. So like I said, it's kind of that 18 to 40 age range. You have people in a lot of different places in their career. They're either starting work out of high school, going to college, out of college, starting families. They're all in very different places, but they are considered one generation. And whenever they're choosing a workplace, they really, I say they, but I'm also a millennial, so I'll try to say we really want to know what the workplace's values are, and if, it's not just for show, they actually implement those values and live it. So you can put in all the fancy coffees and a pinball machine and like whatever else you want as like different perks, but if you don't share those similar values, it's probably not going to attract the millennial generation. And that's one of the things that I really like about working for Generation West Virginia is, we're preaching these things and trying to tell employers, how do you get people to work for you? And, they have given me a better wage than what I had, and I do have some benefits that I didn't have before. And they value flexibility and work-life balance and, all of the things that I value. So that really aligns with what I wanted to do and the work life I was hoping to have. And so I'm happy with where I am, and hopefully you guys can have some happy employees as well. Another thing that's really important to this generation is the opportunity to grow in their career. That's probably similar for most people. I don't think anybody really wants to just, stick in one spot for the rest of their life until they retire. They want opportunities to get promoted and challenge themselves. But it's also shown through investment in your employees, and that can mean, giving them leadership opportunities, or paying for them to attend conferences like this or workshop trainings or something that can help their professional development and personal growth. And by doing that, you're showing them that as their employer, you care about them, not only at work, but just as a human in general. And then, like I said, the work-life balance and the flexibility is something that's really important. for me personally, I don't have kids. I don't really think I want to have kids, but I do have pets. And so sometimes things come up and I can't work, 9 to 5 hours. I have to go to a vet appointment, or I have to, find somebody to sit for them while I, have to do a weekend trip or something. And so I'm sure people with families have that tenfold. And having the opportunity to kind of set their own schedule, or have that understanding with their employer that the work will get done, but it might not get done at my desk from 9 to 5 every day. And so that's what Generation does with us, especially myself and the other two regional managers. We don't work in the Charleston office, obviously. I live in Clarksburg right now. And so I work from home. One of the other regional managers, she lives in Fayetteville, and she likes to spend her mornings rock climbing. And that's really important to her. And so she worked it out with our supervisor, and her work schedule is pretty much 1 to 9 every day, because it works out better for her, and the work gets done, and that's all that matters. And so if you are able to provide that, that's really important. And especially now with the pandemic, a lot of jobs have been turned to remote work, and we've seen that that is possible. Now, I don't want to be stuck in my house doing Zoom calls every single day, but sometimes meetings can be done over email or via virtual call. And we've seen that there is opportunities for more flexibility in the workday. So just keeping that in mind and trying to be understanding of life outside of work. So I did do a little bit of research on like the museum industry, just to know a little bit about what you guys do. And so for most jobs, it requires a bachelor's or master's degree, and then also some experience. And that experience is something that I've had trouble gaining. How do you get hired for a job that requires experience if you can't get the job to get the experience? And it's kind of like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And so trying to be more understanding of that in work, like if you're hiring and the job descriptions or requirements, if you put 5 years of experience in there, that might turn away some people that probably could fill the role successfully but may not have had the opportunities to get that much experience. So trying to keep that in mind. I'm sorry, my cat's going to be joining me here. So my suggestion to help people gain that experience, which I'm sure you probably do this anyway, because as nonprofits, you're always trying to get as much help as you can, is identifying students that are pursuing those degrees and trying to give them that valuable volunteer or internship experience. If you have the capital to do so, a paid internship is hard to come by for a lot of millennials, and it's something that's really needed pretty much today. You pretty much can't get by without working and getting some kind of income while you're in school. But the good news is that according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, this industry has a 9% projected growth through 2028, which makes sense to me because, things are always going to need recorded and archived, and people need to be educated on what happened yesterday, what happened 10 years ago, what happened 20 years ago. And so I feel like this industry is always going to be, very secure. And I don't obviously have the personal experience that you all do, but I see it as a necessary part of society. So that's a good outlook to have, I think. So I also wanted to kind of share what Generation does in these work, live, give categories. And so we've identified these 5 areas that we kind of consider our young talent infrastructure. And these are the things that young people need in order to stay in a certain place. And that's education and workforce development, innovation and entrepreneurship. That's really a really common theme in millennials is we're very innovative, apparently. I don't consider myself innovative, but as a whole, the generation is considered that. Technology and interconnectivity, which is something that West Virginia is struggling with. with the lack of broadband and, a lot of rural areas that we don't have the ability to invest in that, diversity and equality, and then quality of place. And so one of our programs is the Impact Fellowship. And if you're able and interested, you can definitely get on board with this program. We're always looking for new host employers. But this is a 1-year paid fellowship, and we recruit companies from all over the state that are looking to either hire young people to fill their positions or create positions for young people to fill, or they have a young person working for them that they're afraid to lose, but they don't really know what else they can do to keep them there. And so those are the ways that employers can get involved with this fellowship. We do require a minimum $31,000 salary, just because, that's pretty base wage, what you need to live in West Virginia. And then whatever benefits are offered to the other employees of the host company. And what I really like about this fellowship is that it's a 4-day work week. And so they work Monday through Thursday, and then their Friday hours are spent with a local nonprofit, either helping them with a certain project or just doing regular volunteer work. And I think that switches every 6 weeks or something. They work with different nonprofits throughout the year. And so that's something that I really liked, is giving them the time and the opportunity to explore their community and see what's being offered. Along with that, we usually have a cohort of about 12 to 15 or so fellows each year. And so every quarter they get together somewhere throughout the state. And right now it's all online because they can't get together. But they go on trips and explore the outdoor recreation and things that they can do in West Virginia, and exploring different places that they could potentially live and settle down in after their 1-year fellowship is over. And then another program that we have is New Force, and that's located in Huntington. And it is a coding program. It's a 6-month tuition-free coding education. And that was created pretty much out of the Impact Fellowship, because a lot of the companies that were coming to us were looking for these software developers. And so the jobs were here the whole time. They just didn't have the people with the skills to fill those positions. So we're working with a school out of Kentucky, I believe is where it initiated from, and providing this education for 10 or 15 students every 6 months so they can fill those positions. And so in our Live section, just keeping in mind that millennials come with a different set of perspectives, desires, and expectations from like the baby boomer generation, or I don't know what the generation is above me. I think it's C, maybe? No. Why? I don't know how they work. But the generation above me and then the baby boomers, obviously, we have different perspectives. And so one of the big things is that we really value experiences, more specifically in the museum industry, and like your whole workspaces. The older generations use that as a way for as a method to get educated, and they really value just getting the education from that. Not to say that millennials don't value the education, they just want to have that experience with the education included. And another big thing is we're in a digital world, so if you aren't keeping up with that, it's really hard to stay connected with the millennial generation. And then one thing I learned as I was doing some research last night is this thing called the experience economy, and it's something from Harvard. I don't know, I just found the article, but it kind of lays out how we see these different experiences and what attracts millennials. So it's made up of education, entertainment, aesthetic, and escapist. And you can see it's kind of an XY axis there on the side. So depending on how active or passive their participation is in the experience, and then how much they put themselves into it or just kind of are there. And you can see where the different pieces fall. But right in the middle is that sweet spot. So if you're able to provide all four of those things in some way, that's a really valuable experience for millennials. And so our approach within the Live section is the program I work for, which is our local generations. It's similar to a chapter organization, although we don't require dues to be a member. We want to make sure it's accessible for everybody. And with the local generations, it's really a focus on their unique communities and the quality of the place that they're living in. And one of the biggest things is that we just provide the spaces and opportunities for people in the community to get together and connect, which is another important piece of the millennial generation. Is we just want to connect with people, no matter what that looks like. And so with our local generations, we also focus on work, live, give, and try to do some things within those three categories. But a lot of it is just how do we make our specific community in West Virginia a place for young people. And so I work with Harrison County, Morgantown, Wheeling, and the whole 3-county Eastern Panhandle. And then there are 2 other regional managers. One has kind of like the central part of the state and then the southern part. And so we all work with volunteers. All of the local generations are made up of young volunteers in their community that share our vision and mission. And then another piece of our live work is we want to try to make some policy change as well. So try to do some bigger changes than what we're accomplishing with individuals. And some of the policies that we've had an impact on, is the Young Entrepreneur Reinvestment Act. And so that act actually waives the fees. I think it's like all the different filing fees for anybody under 30 wishing to start a business in West Virginia. So the act just removes one of those barriers that might keep young people from being able to start their own business and, again, bring that innovation to the state. And then Uber, the brunch bill, and broadband bill are all things that we've identified as important to young people. Transportation, definitely in West Virginia. I see it now in Clarksburg is that taxi services, which I've never seen in anywhere that I lived in West Virginia, but between here and Morgantown, there's a lot of traveling. And then again, the brunch bill is being able, I think, to serve alcohol in restaurants before 1 p.m. or something like that. Again, just kind of trying to boost the small business economy and giving those restaurants the freedom to serve their patrons. And then the broadband bill is trying to bring high-speed internet access to the state, which unfortunately one of the biggest barriers is we just don't have enough people to offset the cost of that. So just trying to make sure everybody has access to the technology that they need to keep up in the world. And then we were opposed to the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and so we really value equality and diversity and saw this act as an opponent of that. And so in our respective communities, we fought against that bill. And so we're trying to figure out some more policy work that we can do, but it's a slow process. And the give section is really where I'm most interested and my focus is most on, just because throughout college and then my first job experiences were all about volunteering. And so I wanted to make sure I put AmeriCorps in here, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. I know, Crystal, you mentioned just a few minutes ago that you're interviewing more AmeriCorps members. And I think it's really, really cool that we, as of last year, were ranked second in the nation for enrollment in the program. The year before that, we were number one in the state. And so they're AmeriCorps is doing a really good job of getting young people here and providing them with the necessary work and job skills, usually right out of college, but for anybody that's really needing that experience. And so I think it's a really important program. And if you don't know what it is, I haven't been involved in the program personally, but I know a lot of people that have, and they've seen a lot of value in it. Again, volunteers hope to make an impact. And like I said, that's a big deal with millennials. We don't, just want to live day by day. We want to actually make changes in our community and invest. And so my suggestion with your volunteers, and make sure you're giving them actual meaningful work. I know some days you do just need somebody to sweep the floors or straighten up displays or something like that. But making sure you're giving them those opportunities to make an impact and help your mission, and focusing on what skills they can provide is really important. You will have those volunteers that are, just doing it to get the hours and don't mind just being given simple tasks, but the volunteers that are coming to you because they have an interest in your work, those are the ones that you want to make sure you're investing in so they stick around. And a big part of that is just explaining why you do this work, the importance of your mission, why it's important to keep the floors clean and to keep the displays looking nice, even if it is just a simple task. And with that, making sure you're engaging your volunteers always, noticing them and making sure their work is recognized, because this increases your capacity and the impact that you're able to have. If you have more hands to do the work, you can get more work done. It also expands the skills that you have within your workplace, and then the people that you can influence, because all of your volunteers have their own network of friends, and they can, bring them in and expand your reach. And then it also, by giving employees some of this meaningful work, frees up your other employees to handle the more critical stuff, which I'm sure fundraising is a big piece of that, which is something that you might not be able to pass on to volunteers. But if you can give them some of the other stuff, you can focus on the really, really important things. And especially right now, I'm sure a lot of your volunteers haven't been able to engage with you just because you can't be in person. And so trying to brainstorm ways that you can keep them involved even from a distance. So portable opportunities are more of the projects that are out of office. I know, Crystal, I helped out with the trail thing. I had a display, and you had all your volunteers there. And so that's a way that they don't have to be in the office every day, but they can still help out with a certain project. And again, identifying the people with the skills that you need to fill those tasks. And especially today, virtual opportunities. This is really where millennials can help. Most of us have grown up with technology, and we know, how to build websites and do all the social media and all the stuff that you might not know how to do. And that can be done from their house as long as you tell them what you need done. They don't have to be in the office to be able to help you with your social media marketing. And a lot of people like to do that. Identifying the marketing students at local colleges, or even just high school students looking to get a little bit of experience, that can be really valuable to them. And then peripheral opportunities. So this might be people that are involved with you but aren't necessarily a volunteer. Maybe they just come to one of your events, or they are with a different organization that's partnering with you. Just making sure you're engaging with them and recognizing their involvement and saying, hey, you can come do this for us. And we can kind of engage in that partnership. So seeking out all the different opportunities to get volunteers involved. And so one of our other programs is really focused on the give aspect is our Beacon Award program. And the give aspect is, again, like I said, really important because people want to stay in places that they're invested in and they feel like they're a part of it. And so these awards are presented in partnership with the One Foundation, which is one of our big funders, and they're, a really great organization in the state. And it's really just an award to recognize the young leaders in West Virginia and the people that are putting so much of themselves into their communities to make it a better place to stay. It is a $2,000 award, so that's a big incentive to try to nominate people and get yourself nominated if you see yourself as a beacon. But it's also, again, one of those cohorts. So we have 5 or 6, I think, awardees. This is our second year. We, I think, just picked them, but we haven't announced them yet. And so it's a small cohort, but it's people all over the state that have similar ideals and values. And with the Beacon program, they have opportunities for mentorship and coaching and connection with the others. And so, like I said, making sure you're investing in either your volunteers or employees by giving them these opportunities to grow and do the things that they're actually interested in. So if this will work, I have a video of one of our Beacon Award winners from last year. And this is something that 84 Agency, who is their company in Charleston, but they're our communications partner. So we were able to create these videos for the Beacon Award winners for them to share like the work that they're doing. So that's something else that we were able to provide in recognition of their work. So let me know if this doesn't work, but it's only like a 2-minute video. Can you hear it?
My name is Lucy Godwin, and I am a 4th and 5th grade teacher at Beverly Elementary School, and I work with the Beverly Bookmobile Project. So the Beverly Bookmobile is a school bus turned mobile library with an onboard farmer's market. We deliver food bags, health and safety items on Tuesdays in the summer to 10 stops in the Beverly School District. After teaching at Beverly for a year, I realized that our students didn't have access to a library during the summer months when our school library was closed. So in an effort to bring books to the kids, the idea for the Bookmobile was born. And we started in 2017, and we were just a caravan of vehicles. Essentially, our main goal was to just provide access to books and give the kids a healthy snack. But we were receiving phone calls from Lavender Fields Assisted Living. They wanted their residents to take part, so they started packing our snack bags. And WVU Extension called, wanting to jump on our project and provide a farmer's market. The Beverly Bookmobile has been a true community effort, and it's much more than just a library. Over 40 businesses, organizations, churches, and countless community individuals have collaborated with us to make our project possible. The Beverly Bookmobile began just as a simple library where children could come and check out books and receive a healthy snack, and it has grown into something that's so much more. This project is a great example of what can happen when an entire community shares their talents, their skill sets. So many hearts, hands, and minds have worked together to make this project possible, and I think that it's really making the Beverly community proud.
Yeah, so Lucy was one of our Beacon Award winners from last year, and this is in tiny little Beverly in Randolph County, and I had no idea that this was going on, but we were able to create this video, share it on our Facebook page, and I haven't heard any updates from their end, but I'm sure it's helped bring a little bit more support to the work that she was already doing. And so if you want to see the other videos, they're all on Generation West Virginia's Facebook page. They were posted several months ago, so you might have to scroll a little bit through the videos. But I remember Natalie sent those to us the day that they were, going to be released. And I just felt very inspired, and I want to share more stories like this. And obviously, it's important to show recognition for all of the ways that people are immersing themselves into our communities. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit and make sure I do give some tips on recruiting employees, visitors, and volunteers to your workplaces. And so starting out with work, I don't know if this will share, but one of the biggest things that we've done through our Impact Fellowship is just help the employers write these position descriptions. So let me see if this will share. Can you see this? Okay. So this is one of the position descriptions that we shared for 84 Agency, who is our communications partner. And they were looking for a graphic designer. And so the way it's laid out, a lot of similar parts to most descriptions, but one of the things that we felt was really impactful was this section right here. This job would be a great fit for you. So allowing the applicant to see if they would fit in with the workplace, and it's not, just the typical, 5 years of experience working with a specific program. It's you're committed to doing good in the world. So that's kind of a very big idea, but it's something a lot of people could probably say they, feel that way. Again, mentioning those programs, but a lot of like the personality traits. You're enthusiastic. You're able to apply constructive criticism, lifelong learner, things that you probably wouldn't see in a typical position description, and just being really intentional about who you're recruiting. And then just some of the tasks that you can be expected to do, and then the basic information at the bottom. So this is something that Generation helps the host employers put together whenever they're hiring these fellows. I have another one here. We've also worked with nonprofits, so it's not always been for-profit companies. And so this is one of the ones that was shared for a program manager at Farmers. And again, it's very similar. I can get it to scroll. So it has, the basic pieces, the summary of the position and the organization, a little bit of the responsibilities, and then this piece right here that's really a really focused piece of the description is, would you be able to fit into this workplace? And there's those personality traits, and then kind of the big ideas: committed to youth development, are an exemplar of our culture. And so again, that's promoting the organization's culture and values, and saying this is what we believe in, and we really try to do that day to day. So I wanted to share that a little bit, because that is the first step in getting people to work for you and getting new employers, is they're going to see that position description, but also making sure you are posting it in all of the places. I tried to find research on what program or website works best for recruiting millennials, but I couldn't really find like an exact source. But we actually just posted a couple posts on our Facebook page whenever we were hiring our fellowship director a few months ago. And with those 2 posts, we were able to reach 20,000 people and had about 100 shares. I think we did back this with a little bit of money to boost it, but just having people share it and using the Facebook platform and its popularity really helped get the word out there. And now we have a really great fellowship director. And so Facebook is free to use. If you want to put some money behind it, you can. But then a lot of people do use like Indeed and LinkedIn and all of the other kind of career websites to find job applications. With the live section, trying to get people to visit your organization, the biggest suggestion I could find, and from personal experience, is just after hours events. A lot of people do have a 9 to 5, or they have families during the day, and evenings are pretty much the only time they can really commit to recreation in their community. But also just putting those events together with the premise that it's for an opportunity to connect with people. And so it's not just come to our museum and look at this display. It's, come have drinks with people, get to know people in your community, but also see what we have to offer as our organization. And so that there were a couple studies that people had done that I was looking in an article and said that that helped get a younger generation to come to their events. And then again, just incorporating the digital aspect. That can be as simple as having a hashtag for your organization. So anytime people come to visit, if they post about it, they use that hashtag, and you can connect with them that way. Making sure you are on social media. With the museum industry, it is very visual, so a lot of opportunities for people to take pictures and post, and really just kind of a direct invite into the digital world. And with Give, something I've learned, I can't remember what the source was, but it said that 80% of volunteers find opportunities through word of mouth. So either just hearing it from their friends and family, or probably share it online. And just really recognizing what your volunteers say about your organization. Do they have a good time? Is it something that they want to share with others, and try to get people more involved? That would be the first step, is making sure your current volunteers are saying good things and sharing the opportunities. And this is where it comes into, engage and invest in them. So explaining the why of the work that you do and giving them the proper information to share out into the world. So I want to use a little Zoom tool that I actually just learned about like last week, and just take a little poll. So at the top, I have a picture here. You can see where you're viewing my screen, and then there's view options. If you click on that, there should be the option for annotate. And then it'll pop up this little toolbar, and you can use the stamp tool. So if you can get to that, just let me know if you use any of these social media platforms. Ooh, we got a Snapchat. I wasn't expecting that, actually. All right. So I'm glad we have people using Facebook. It is definitely the most popular and pretty much where everybody gets their information nowadays. Instagram, we have one person. I definitely would recommend getting an Instagram account if you don't already have one for your organization. And that's something that you can get one of those millennial volunteers to do for you. And then that'll give them, the experience in social media marketing and management. Twitter, we don't have anybody on there. And that's okay, because Twitter isn't really the best platform, I don't think, for trying to get people to come. It's more very quick, quick conversations, quick announcements. So it's definitely not a hindrance to have a Twitter account, but it would be something that you would use to say, we're having an event tonight, come to this. And so that would be pretty much the most use for Twitter. LinkedIn, again, trying to get those people looking for jobs. I haven't used LinkedIn to find a job myself, but I use it just to connect with people I went to school with, and people within my workplace. I am interested in the person who said Snapchat. So at the end, if you're willing to share, I would love to hear why and how you're using it. I didn't expect a lot of people to use it, but the biggest thing I think about for Snapchat is the ability to have like personalized filters. So you can put like your organization's name and location, and people can take pictures and put a little filter on it. So that's kind of fun. And then nobody said any other, but if you do have other platforms that you use, definitely share at the end. But social media is probably the biggest piece in all of this because it's taking over everything. And I will try to clear these, maybe. There we go. All right. So thanks for indulging me, and I hope if you didn't know that was a Zoom thing, now you know and can use it for the rest of your calls because it's kind of fun. But I wanted to share a little bit of statistics around the top 3. So Facebook, again, is the most popular. 79% of adults aged 18 to 29 are on Facebook, and most of them are checking it daily. With Facebook's algorithm, I think it's organized now to show you things that are getting positive engagement. So posts that are getting a lot of likes or comments will be up at the top. And so that's why it's really important to try to get people to like your content so it stays relevant in the feed. Instagram is next with 67% of adults 18 to 29, again, checking it daily. And this is where hashtags most come into play. And so the recommendation is that you use at least 5 relevant hashtags for your industry. You can use up to 30, I think, but it's kind of the, the rule of diminishing returns, as the more that you put on there, the less effective they're going to be. So at least 5. You don't have to use all 30, but one of my coworkers, the other regional manager, she created a separate Instagram account just to track her the house that she just bought. She bought an older house and is doing a lot of renovations. And so there's a whole community of people on Instagram that are just on there to see old houses and renovation projects. And so that's separate from her personal account, and she uses that and uses all of the trending hashtags. And she's gotten a lot of new engagement and new connections just from that. And so the same is with any industry. You kind of have those really unique hashtags to whatever is going on in the museum world. And that's a great way to spread your reach even farther than just within the state. Twitter, 38% of US adults 18 to 29. And according to this statistic, most do not check it daily, but Twitter is one of the platforms that I probably use more than anything. But I don't really use it for any professional development. I just use it to see stupid memes and other things that are going on to kind of break up the monotony of my day. But with any social media account, the most important thing is that you be responsive, because the whole purpose is for two-way communication. You want to be available to your followers, and they expect you to be responsive to them and provide opportunities for engagement. So whatever you use, just make sure you're actually responding to people that are inquiring about what you do. Excuse me. And I think I have one more. It's not moving. Oh, that was it. Okay. So at this point, like I said, I was putting this together last night, so very last minute, which is also something that might be specific to the millennial generation. Maybe it's just me. But I was really struggling to put together things because I didn't know what you all needed to know or were interested in knowing. So I wanted to make sure we had time to address anything that I might not have addressed in this content. So I will open it up, and if you have any specific questions, I can try to answer them now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this so I can see everybody's face.
If you all want to, if you want to unmute yourselves, so we can turn this more of it into a discussion part if you want to, if you feel more comfortable, you know, discussing it openly and asking your question. You know, I'm honestly curious, and you know, some faces on this call I do recognize, and some I am just meeting you for the first time. So how many of you all have anybody of that millennial generation already kind of engaged with you already, whether that be in volunteers, if you have an AmeriCorps member, you know, I'm just curious about who everyone on today who's actually has engaged them successfully. I can say the Historical Society has, because I am one of those millennials. I'm one of those older ones. And I do have an AmeriCorps member that typically are even younger than me. So I'm definitely doing it. I'm definitely on social media. And you know, if anybody's out there, just if you have any tips to offer, you know, please speak up. You know, okay, maybe a question I would, oh, yep, Land Mansion, yep, Virginia, I'm familiar, yep, they have one too. So a lot of these sites that are, you know, Casey, you brought up AmeriCorps, it's a great way to facilitate some of that, you know, generational energy and diversity into your organization, is to participate in that program. West Virginia is one of the few states that has an AmeriCorps program that deals with historic preservation and museum archive, you know, in that field. And so we're lucky for that, and we always have a great crop of people that come in and participate in that program and help out our sites around the state and bring that energy into our organizations. A question that I would maybe ask is, you know, how vital is it to kind of engage, you know, those 18 to 40-year-olds? How key is that to organizational sustainability in the nonprofit world, and just in, you know, for us as museum people, how vital is that to reach that group of people, that demographic, and still keep your organization going on into the 21st century?
Is that a question for me or for
Yes,
everybody?
that's a question for you. Yes.
Okay. So I definitely think it's very important, not just because I am a 25-year-old who's just now starting out in working in nonprofit, but one of the statistics that I saw as I was like doing some research last night is that, I can't remember when this was posted, but it was like 44% of young adults were planning on leaving their current job because they didn't feel like there was that engagement or connection or like the opportunity to grow within the organization. And so again, I think it's just very important that if you do have young people working for you, that you're listening to them, what they are hoping to get out of their position, whether they are just a volunteer or an employee for you, or even if they're just visiting, asking them what they want to see. And if you follow through with that, they're, you know, realizing that, oh, they actually listen to me, they care about my perspective. And so that's something that we just did with Generation, is we had one-on-one meetings with our executive director, and she was like, how is this work that we're doing, what's going well, what's not, what do you need, not only because we're in the middle of a pandemic and trying to figure out how to reorganize and restructure things, but just to check in with the employees and make sure that we're getting out of the work as much as we're putting into it. So, and then again, the whole premise of Generation West Virginia is our population is aging out. And so we'll be losing the workforce of, people that are hitting retirement age. And so what we have left is like these 18 to 40 and then above workers that are having trouble finding work, or especially right now, a lot of people are unemployed. And so really just valuing the connections that we have with the young people within our networks.
Great. Okay. Maybe I'll open this up, and guys, if you want to unmute yourself to answer this question, or you can again type it in that chat box. But what do you feel is your biggest challenge in getting this generation involved in your organization? What do you think that roadblock is, if you've kind of had struggles doing that in the past or recently? What do you feel is your biggest hurdle to kind of overcome that? Because as Casey said, that is a big demographic that we all should be reaching and trying to engage. So does anybody have any thoughts on, what's that biggest challenge for your organization going forward? Does anybody have any thoughts on that question? Okay.
I would say, as a young person myself, and I'm still in graduate school, I think from my personal experience, what has been difficult when I volunteer at not just in museums, but just in general, is that sometimes I feel like my time is being, I don't want to say abused, but like I'm doing the work of an employee without really being valued as, as a volunteer. And then it was hard. I felt like I was getting burned out because I was doing too much, and they didn't have any interest in getting more volunteers. Like, they just thought I could do everything as a single volunteer. I don't know if other places, I think that maybe other places might have a similar opinion, is like, oh, like if we just get like a couple volunteers, we would be good. But then your volunteers might get stretched too thin. And I just couldn't handle it anymore with my other responsibilities and jobs and school. But that's just one thing that I would say, is having multiple volunteers, being able to spread out responsibilities, and then really valuing your volunteers or employees, which we've kind of talked about today. And I know that experience is really important to young people. It's what we really look forward to. If we're not getting paid, we want to really have an experience that we can translate to having a job later or something. So that's just my perspective on it as someone who's still, figuring things out young in life.
Perfect. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your response there. And that is a big deal. Providing making that experience meaningful. Invest in the people, those younger people that are working for you. Take an interest in them. Offer them, those mentorship opportunities. If you have, some folks in your organization that have a lot of experience, like whether they're on a volunteer board or whatever, you can have, a younger person, invest in them and kind of take them into the system and give them some responsibility and almost teach them the ways of the organization, so that they're very much invested in the success of the organization, and they'll keep coming back. Again, making them feel welcome. That's very important. And when it comes to your programming, here's one of these things that's kind of, a big deal here at the Harrison County Historical Society, is, are we doing events that resonate with that age group as well? It's good to tailor your events so that they're obviously broad to hit lots of demographics, but you may want to do one or two events that are strictly for that demographic and get them involved in that. Are you doing those events that connect and make sense with that age group? So again, that's just from my experience, again, as well as for me being an older millennial. if a historic site or museum or art gallery or whatever, if they're doing something that I want to do, I'm going to show up. So keep that in mind. I'm not always going to, if you do a lot of things, examples, again, like Casey, I don't have children. If you do a lot of family stuff with kids, you're maybe not going to you're going to be missing a segment there of those folks who don't have children. And do they feel welcome in that space for that event? So those are just things to kind of keep in mind. So yeah, invest in those people. Again, that meaningful work, give them a task that they're proud of, that they can be involved in. That's really, really key. Anyone else want to join in the discussion on some of these things? Challenges on how to reach out?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Mike Rahali. I would like to know from you millennials, how do I change the thing where it says M. Roha, my name, which is Mike?
Yes. You can go into, I believe, if you go over to where you are in the chat, I think you can rename so if you go in the chat and you find yourself, there's the mute button and then there's a more button. And if you click that and scroll down to rename, you can type in your name and it'll fix it. I learned this last week myself.
Rename.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might be able to do it for you. I can.
I see it. I think I could do it. Let me see.
Want to do it? It's like, if you can, I can, because I didn't know I could do that. for other people, that's kind of exciting.
All right.
There we go. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that's the only question I had.
Okay, hey. Maybe a WVM session needs to be teaching people how to use the Zoom features. Maybe that's the next thing we're going to have to do, because I see us on this thing.
If nothing else, this was successful. So
yes. I didn't know about the stamp thing, so there you go. So yeah, this is getting these folks engaged is very, very important, and it's kind of getting them there, because I said we're here, we're looking for stuff. I think as I said, my AmeriCorps member Sarah, I know Elizabeth, and I know Virginia. We're actively looking for cool stuff to do, and so absolutely. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Let me see what's going on here. Carol, do you know that you have the screen share on? Are you trying to share something with the group? Hold on. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, I think we are having an error here. Hold on. Oh, nope. There we go. All right. Well, gang, let me see if I can get out of screen share here so that we can sort of wrap up if no one else has any questions. There we go.
Actually.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to know who's using Snapchat and.
Oh yeah, who's using the Snapchat?
How's that going?
That was me. It's Elizabeth. That was my mistake. Sorry.
That's your private Snapchat?
It's my private Snapchat, but the museum that I'm working on now, we are considering multiple platforms for when we open, since we are at the university, and Snapchat's everybody WVU, every university has Snapchat pretty much, so we are considering it.
Well, Elizabeth, let us know how it goes, because I've for me, that's just kind of, that's a platform to do something fun with your friends and stuff. I've never, maybe that's something in the museum field we need to explore, is how maybe other folks are using these more, like the TikTok and the Snapchat type of things, and see how those work for the younger set. So yeah, that's cool.
One of the things that I saw in an article last night about like a museum using Snapchat, it was like an art gallery, and so they were like taking pictures of like the Renaissance women paintings or whatever, and it was for Valentine's Day, and so they were putting like quotes over top of it and like funny memes and trying to kind of connect the two worlds through Snapchat. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of fun tools to play with the social media. And we had a session on that last week about kind of demystifying those things. I always say play with them and see what they do. If it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it anymore. If you have a great visual collection, you got great photographs, you got, a great history, like historic house thing, that Instagram might be something you want to play with a little bit, and get people there. I know, Casey, you might be familiar with these where they have those, the pop-up events where you can come in and do your Instagram photos. Like if you have an account, you come to a historic site and do almost like photo shoots, or you just come in there and just take pictures. I don't know. I've seen these before, like these little pop-up events where if you got some really cool stuff in your museum, maybe you want to, have a little pop-up event and have them come in and maybe do a happy hour and let them take their Instagram photos and things. And guys, that's free advertising for you.
Promote it to aspiring photographers or something, and let them get some practice and you get some free photos out of it.
Exactly. We always like free here. So yeah, just kind of, and also, gang, there are, obviously in Harrison County, we have Generation Harrison, but there's other smaller regional generation groups that you can find out there on the internet and Facebook that you can kind of connect with. That again, that's a built-in network of people of that set that, you can cross collaborate with. Casey and I connected, I forget where we even, I know I came to the Generation Reforming meeting. I know that's probably what it was, but they're a great bunch to kind of partner with to do things. Yeah. So check them out. And it's, they're great. And what they're trying to do by keeping our folks here and working and remaining in the community, that's a good thing. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns? Casey did put in the chat where to find Generation West Virginia. So yeah, generationwv.org. They also are on Facebook if you're on the Facebook. Any other thoughts about engaging the millennials in your organization? Find a millennial. We're here. If you want to know, if you come to WVAM's conference, hopefully in March, grab one of us, not literally, but we're friendly. We'll talk to you about stuff. And obviously we're all museum people. And so, that we all have that in common is that we love museums. We love, our state, and, we want it to be the best it can be. And so don't be afraid to reach out to those folks and engage them and welcome them in, because once you get a good group of people, you're gonna do amazing things with your organization.
Question, and one more question.
Yeah.
For Casey, that program where you have intern, I forget what it's called, where you have to have $31,000 a year minimum salary.
Mm-hmm.
Is any of that covered by anyone besides the host company?
I don't believe so. So I know the process is how we get any revenue from that is there's like a fee for host companies to whenever they get on board with us to start recruiting for the employers. And so that's, getting help with the job descriptions and posting it everywhere and doing all the interviews and everything. And that is the employer gets to do all of that. You make all of the decisions, and then come interview day of all of the applicants and trying to hire. If you don't find anybody that fits the position, you get that fee back. So,
okay. So it's not like someone else pays $29,000 out of that $31,000. I mean, if that were the case, I'm in.
mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely a little bit of a hurdle for nonprofits, which is why we've only had a couple join on. But Yeah, if you can, I don't know if there's any assistance with that, but it is all from the employer. And then again, whatever benefits you offer your other employees are expected to be offered to the fellow.
Kind of what I thought. Thank you.
You're welcome. But with the Impact Fellowship, I believe, I don't know about our latest cohort, but 100% of our applicants do receive offers from the host employers after that year's up. And so it's been really helpful at actually retaining people. It's not just like you're here for 1 year and then you have to go on the job hunt again. It's turned into careers for most of our fellows. So,
I don't doubt that. If I was
yeah.
going to spend $31,000 on a person, I would hope it would be for more than 1 year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The recruitment process can get costly, so it's better if you can just keep them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, anyone else? Anyone else have any comments, questions? Okay, well, gang, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And thank you, Casey, for being willing to. Casey was supposed to be part of our regular conference this year, and of course, pandemic said we aren't going to do that. Let you guys have that conference this year. So we're so grateful that she decided to help us out and help us with this inaugural virtual conference for us, because we're learning as we go. So our next session for our virtual conference for WVAM is next Wednesday, I believe August 5. Hold on, I'm looking at my calendar to make sure. Yes, August 5 at 3 p.m. We're going to have Leah Marie Heron of the WVU Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. She does grant stuff. So if you want to learn how to write grants and tips and tricks for writing grants, she's the lady that's going to be joining us next week at 3 o'clock on Zoom again. If you're a WVAM member, you are getting in for free for that. And if you are not a member, it's just $5. So if you want to learn how to write grants and get some tips, join us next week. Again, sign up just on Eventbrite like you did for this one. So we hope to see some of you folks next week for our next session. And we thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And the recording will be up. You'll get it sooner, but as far as everybody else that wants to take advantage of this, it'll be up in August sometime for this session. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Casey. Everyone, have a fantastic afternoon, and we'll see ya.
Great, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.